Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Thank
I'm doing great.
you for being a part of this.
Oh wow. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Yes, yes.
Today's been so crazy. I just
Mhm.
oh man.
I feel you on that. I feel like I have been running around and on calls all day. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We have to bring it all the way back, which I'm sure you probably get asked a lot, but what got you into music and tell us just your journey to this point?
For sure. And thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a minute. But I guess to dive into the journey, I started playing piano when I was a kid. My parents had me in piano lessons, and then that I was playing classical piano for a while, and then we moved to California, and I was always really drawn to being in a band. And I remember my friend Rachel from she was like the first friend I made when we moved to California in middle school, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm in a band. Do you want to be a part of it?" So I joined that band, and we played together all throughout high school, and then I kind of realized that it's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and so if I was gonna go to college, I would wanna study music in some way, and so I only really applied to 2 schools in the songwriting departments, and then I ended up going to Belmont, studied songwriting. That's where I met my current band, and now we all live together and jam, and it's a great time.
Wow, 24/7. I was actually going to ask that because I just saw your timing and s- I saw that you all went to Belmont. I'm like, this is coincidental. Although I know some people that meet after they go to college and they went to the same college. So I guess it could go either way.
I feel
That's
like it was like that with Sean, actually, our bass player. I met him when I graduated college, but I've been playing with my drummer, Sawyer. We'd been
yeah.
playing together all throughout college, and he was in another band with Sean, so we just kinda combined bands.
That's actually really cool. And you created such a great sound. I can't wait to get into it. But you all officially started your band in 2021.
Yes, yeah, we did.
That is so wild to me because it honestly sounds like you've played forever.
Oh, thank you. I feel like with the music that we wrote, it feels like we've all kinda worked our whole lives to put that album out, just not all together, you know?
Yeah, how does that work? How does that work when you're like trying to figure out like the genre, the style, and develop that sound?
And personality. And
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think, it's all about intuition and just not trying to force yourself to be in any sort of a box and not trying to, and just trying to, I don't know, connect with your authentic self. And if you can, I feel like it goes hand in hand with just like kind of discovering who you are. And like the sooner you can kind of begin to figure out who your authentic self is, the sooner you start to develop your authentic sound and brand, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. And can you, I guess, walk us a little bit through how you like what your process is to try maintaining your authentic self?
Yeah, I think, I feel like the process is different for everybody. I knew I was having some difficulties with alcohol, so I stopped drinking, and that really kind of helped me kind of figure out, I don't know, just like I feel like I was kind of like living in like an alternate universe, like not really awake or conscious. And then at the same time I kind of became vegan, and now I'm not vegan anymore, but I was vegan for a minute. But I still don't eat meat, and I don't know, I got really into, like, meditation and spirituality, and that the meditation that I was doing really helped me, like, turn inwards and begin, like, my healing journey and focusing on just I just really wanted to be a better person for the people in my life because I did not know who I was, and I still feel like I'm figuring out who I am and I'm still healing, but really, like, what led to that was it was just everything in my life kind of came to I don't know, it was just like I couldn't live like that anymore, and so I needed, like, a big change, and then, yeah, I just kind of started everything over, and that's kind of how I've been sort of on this journey of healing and discovering who I am, and I think I still have a long ways to go, but, it's really been helpful with the music I've been creating.
And Life is a journey, man. If you're the same person you were like a couple of years ago, a couple of weeks ago, I don't think that's living really. I think that's harder to do than evolving,
Totally. Yeah, totally.
to be honest. But you just mentioned that also impacts your music. How so?
Yeah, I think through my meditations and like just kind of thinking deeply about myself and the way I am and the way and the reasons that I behave the way I do, and kind of like narrowing it back to where in my childhood these things came from and why I'm attracted to certain types of people, why I react the way I do in difficult situations. And like I feel like when I'm stressed out, I turn into my dad. And that just like kind of being able to go back and figure out and pinpoint like why I am the way I am has been really helpful in terms of writing lyrics and just processing a lot of the traumas I've been through. And I say trauma is such like an intense word, but I feel like just like the human experience and being a human is traumatic in itself, and we all go through traumas.
The problem with like mental health or like the way people think about mental health and trauma is that there's such a stigma around it. But I mean, it's not a comparison, like everyone suffers from something and it doesn't matter to what extent it may be. Would you say that this exact theme and topic is what your recently released album is about and what drove that album?
Totally, 100%. I think when I was sitting down to begin writing this album, I didn't really have any direction. I was just kind of writing about what I was feeling. And the first song we wrote was Vancouver. And that was kind of just about my childhood and growing up. And that song kind of just led into us writing a bunch of other songs about each one is kind of like a different story on what I went through. And I feel like the period of time between right now and when we first started working on this album was like the most difficult time of my entire life. And I think that writing this album really helped me to get through that.
And I'm sure a lot of those that are listening to it can feel the same on whatever they're going through. I could feel like the raw like emotion in it. I'm one of those that listen to every song in order. So I feel like that tells a story in itself.
Thank you. And that makes me so happy that you listened to it in order, because this album definitely is one that like I would want people to listen to in order.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, sometimes it's hard not to click the shuffle on
Yeah.
Spotify, but I've been like purposefully doing it because the more that I'm speaking with creatives, the more that I've learned that things are intentional and like time is put into a track list.
Bass player the other day was saying that making a track list and like organizing the order of the songs he's called it a lost art, and he's so right.
It's so true. And in fact, I have a really good friend in the industry who I have met through this podcast, and he was one of those that played music for his whole entire life, but then he stopped, had a family and had kids and picked it up. Like he left music for 20 years. And so he grew up in that like really thoughtfulness. And now that's all we talk about. I try to do my part then as a listener.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But it's so easy to hit shuffle on Spotify. And that's why I think I truly like vinyls, because it forces me to seriously listen to the order. And sometimes I think, oh, I listened to this album so many times. I do feel something different for when I can follow like a storyline, especially for the artists that and songwriters that believe more into that and that's more their style.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love listening to vinyl and just like the experience of just like flipping the record over and sitting. And so we have a record player, and sometimes my roommates, which are my bandmates, will just sit and listen through to our favorite records. And vinyl is a great experience.
It really is.
What song on the album was your favorite to make?
Oh my gosh. That's a tough question.
That'd be even tougher to follow up.
Oh, I feel like in terms of making the song, I had the most fun making If You Knew Me, because there's so many really weird little noises happening throughout the song. And, we each recorded our our own parts. And then I went over to our friend John, who played guitar on that song. I went over to his house and we were just like kind of messing around with different instruments and noises just to add in. And he was like, I have this idea. I'm going to scream into my guitar pickups and I'm going to pitch them really low and really high. So there's like a point in the song where you won't even be able to tell that he's screaming into his guitar pickups, but just like, it adds so much, and being able to like create all those weird noises with John was so much fun and taught me a lot in terms of like production and engineering too. But in terms of writing, I would say writing Monotony was the most fun because that whole song is recorded live, and we were in Maui and we were on
I saw that.
we were having
Well,
a time. It was crazy. That song was so weird. It was really weird. I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about on this podcast. And
you can talk about anything.
Okay, well, we were all tripping while we were
I knew to say.
and so it was so much fun because like none of us really knew what was happening. And I think that's why that song is so, like there's no format to it. It's just like two different sections and it's not really like there's no bridge or verse or chorus.
If I remember correctly, I thought that. And then also the other one you're talking about, If You Knew Me, I believe, so I was listening to it in the car and I believe the part that you're talking about, I remember thinking someone put their hand across the like neck of the guitar. Like I'm thinking that might be the sound because I'm like, wow, how would you describe this?
Yeah, it's definitely, there was a bunch of weird noises like that too. So I'm sure that was If You Knew Me.
Okay, that's amazing. And so now I want to know what song was the most challenging?
Ooh. That's, I think well, in terms of just like lyrical content, Vancouver was the hardest to write, and we still don't even play it really at shows because sometimes when I was recording that vocal take, that song is just one vocal take and it's pretty much it's live or whatever. It's not comped and it's not tuned. So like I started crying while I was recording that vocal take and I was like, the emotion is here, so I got to keep this vocal take and I don't want anyone to edit it or anything. And so that was the hardest, I think, to record. But in terms of just like getting the song out, Cloud was the most difficult song to finish writing because I started writing that with somebody and then that person he's no longer in my life and I had to finish writing that song without him, but I couldn't figure out how to finish writing it and it took me like a year just to complete the whole song.
Wow. I'm sure like the emotional aspect, whew, I can't imagine really when it's so close to home. And then curious because the album title itself, Quantum Entanglement, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's it.
Please enlighten us.
It's exactly the way you read it.
Samantha, please tell me what you think that means.
It's a weird phenomenon that occurs in just quantum mechanics. So it's like particles on the quantum level happens to one will directly impact the others no matter where they are in the universe. And it's like the only instance where we are as humans are able to perceive information traveling faster than the speed of light. And so when I learned about that, I was like, this is so interesting. And it makes me kind of like think about people. And, sometimes you just feel things and then you call the people that you start thinking about and they were thinking about you, and just like how like those weird coincidences happen just in our day-to-day lives, and it's almost like telepathic. And so I was like, this is I like this title a lot. It really kind of brings in so many different aspects of my life because my dad is really into quantum mechanics and my brother's studying astrophysics, and they both have taught me a lot in terms of science, and they've both taught me a lot just about how to be creative because they're both very creative people too. And I think that this whole album is kind of like scientifically analyzing emotions, and so I felt like that title was kind of perfect for just the content in the songs and just bringing my whole family into it as well.
That is seriously such a nice honor to have as family members. And also, that kind of makes my brain think a little bit. Like, I love science and all of that, but I hate relating it back to life
Yeah.
as if it's like a real tangible thing. Cause, like when you study it, it's like, oh, cool. A lot of this is a theory. Like this could happen. This could happen with certain aspects. But then it's like when you say it like that, like how we're all related and how we have these invisible strings connecting one another, it literally goes beyond me. But it's so true.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating, and there's so much we don't know, and I feel like, just that bridge of theoretical science and in a sense, I guess the word would be spirituality. The two of them are so much more alike than people think, and I feel like if both sides got together, they would have all the answers.
It's too bad us as humans like to keep everything inside.
Yeah.
Speaking of relationships, curious, is there any particular person that you are grateful towards who maybe have helped you get to where you are now?
There's so many people. I feel like, I feel like I was thinking about this recently, and I think the reason why it's so hard to let go of people is because we really are just holding on to so many different pieces of the people that come into our lives. You have you'll have people that come in and teach you how to love or how to let go of people, or how to find your power, and you'll find yourself, I don't know, having little tendencies that those people that came into your lives taught you or had. And so, we're kind of just all, I guess, mosaics of the people that we've loved and the people that we've feared. And I think there's just been so many people that have really helped me to get to where I am that I wouldn't even really know where to start. But I guess like the two main ones would be my parents and my band members.
I love that.
That's cute. And so getting back into performing and then creating, is there anyone that in particular that you want to collaborate with somewhere in the near future?
Yeah. I feel like I'd be a lot of the people I'd want to collaborate with are probably dead, but it'd be really cool to be in the room with Tom York.
I agree. Oh my gosh. One of his songs was at the Van Gogh Museum, and I literally could not stop playing his song for 2 months straight.
Oh my gosh. What song was it?
It's like very depressing. I don't even know what it is, but it's so calming. Yeah.
Wait, so do you make music as well?
No. Well, I mean, for fun, but it's nothing any like we're talking about, but it is Dawn Chorus.
Oh, yes.
It's
yes.
dark.
Yes.
Love it.
Okay.
I think he's a genius.
And I just want to speak for Samantha, and I said this once and I'll say it again, but she played saxophone.
That's sick.
Awesome. And then I kind of taught myself piano like in COVID, but just for fun, because I mean, once you read music, it kind of gets a little easier.
It's like a language that's spoken with your fingers. I don't know if Radiohead is
Gold.
touring anymore, but he plays with a band called The Smile now, which is basically the three best members of Radiohead just started another band called The Smile. And so they're actually playing at the Ryman in December, and we
Nice.
got tickets to see it, and I'm so excited.
I saw
Right.
Phoenix at the Ryman.
Yeah, they were just there recently.
I went, I don't know, this is 5 years ago.
And she went with our mom. She went with
Yep.
our mom.
Sick. Oh.
See, thanks for remembering.
Mom talks about it quite often.
Just shove it into conversation.
I love that.
One thing that even I realized as we started off this conversation is that you moved around quite often.
So I grew up I was born in Boston, and then I kind of lived in a couple places. And I did high school in California, but I've actually lived in Nashville longer than I lived in California, which is a crazy thought. Because so many of my friends are like, oh yeah, Chelsea's from California. And I'm like, actually, I've lived here longer. But, I moving to Nashville, when I was moving to Nashville for school, I found this 5-year plan that I made when I was a freshman, and I had like literally never even heard of Nashville, but for some reason I wrote in the 5-year plan that I would move to Nashville, and I did. So I feel like it was less school and more like I somehow manifested it.
That's
I
what it's
love
all
that.
about.
I did the same thing as you, and like everything weirdly came true.
That's so cool. That is, yeah, I feel like it's crazy just to see, I don't know, to write down your goals and just to have them in front of you is so beneficial, because even if you're not consciously working towards them, something subconsciously is.
Are you familiar with the law of attraction?
Oh yeah.
I figured, but they have a planner, and the planner actually makes you think through your goals like long term, but then also by month, by week, and day. And then it makes you reflect on it on your months as well. And I swear by it. I did it for 1 year, and I want to pick it up again next year, but I swear by it because it's allowed me to do so many things that, like, without putting pen to paper, I would have never done. And it does get a little too much sometimes, but even if you skip a couple of weeks or just write in one day, it really just helps, like, just organize your life as well. Because I feel like sometimes I have too much going on up there, like we all do. And then I feel like kind of like just staying in one place because I don't even want to do anything at all. But then when you write it all down, you're like, oh, I could get this done at 1 p.m. And I can't believe how much stuff I got done in a day. But
Totally.
it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
And I feel like gratitude journals are similar to that.
Yes.
They're super beneficial too, just to helping you get through just not only every day, but also whenever you're feeling like depressed, just having a gratitude journal and looking back at the things that you've been grateful for, even if it's
It's
just
great.
the fact that the sun came out that day, it's all of those things are really beneficial.
So
Agreed.
true. This one knows what's up with that.
Especially when I'm down.
We have one last question that we ask all of our guests. It's our favorite question, and the listeners know this is coming every time. This is how we close out. But what do you want to be known for?
That's a great question. I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with why do you make music too? And I think, at least for me, I've seen just like the power that art has in helping people heal and feel less alone. And just having been that kid that felt alone, and I felt like I didn't fit in for most of my life, music saves me. And like people like Tom York and Julian Casablancas, they were like my friends, and I guess I would want to be known for just being able to do something like that with my music and be a friend to people who feel alone.
I appreciate that so much. And like you, I feel like even to this day, I still don't fit in with most people that I feel like I interact with every
You don't
day.
need them.
Yeah, we don't need them. We got each other. No, but we were just actually talking about this on our birthdays in particular. We feel like more, I guess, like alone or not close to people, as I'm sure a lot of people feel, really. And this year in particular, because we're completely separate, we live in different cities now. But yeah, so we were just pondering that. So we definitely appreciate people like you that acknowledge that and want to be there for them through your art.
And I can imagine too, like being a twin, like you really have the deepest friendship you could possibly have, because you like know each other on a level that no one else will know you. So I can imagine on your birthday, not being together could feel lonely.
Especially now, because as adults, like we acknowledge that we don't need anyone else. Like we at least have each other. We have one person that is there for us that will always think about us. But growing up, like we didn't think that way. We were just like, why doesn't anyone decorate our locker?
Feel that.
See, ooh, hit home a little bit too hard.
I literally thought about that, Samantha, but
I know.
but thank you so much, Chelsea. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners?
Ooh, thank you for listening, I guess.
We'll also have links to where they can find you. And also for those listening, Chelsea released their album Quantum Entanglement September 9th. So go check it out on every single platform you listen to. Thank you again, Chelsea. Also, I didn't say this earlier, but I love the name of your band.
Thank you.
Oh my-
Sometimes I don't like our band name and I'm like, oh, I wish we had a different band name, but I appreciate that.
I think it's like to the point and easy to remember and different. So
Thank you.
even if sometimes you feel that way, just know.
There's always someone that likes it.
Yeah.
You got a fan.
Yes. But thank you again.
Thank you guys so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
you.
And we hope to stay connected.
Yeah.
I will, well, we'll be in touch. I'm sure I'll see you guys on the internet.
Mhm.
Perfect. All right. See ya.
See
Bye,
ya.
everyone.
Thank you.